this very special broadcast. I'm Chaiti Narula. Today the show is out there for all you COVID warriors. You've had COVID, you've gone on all the prescribed medication that were very much required at that point when you tested positive, and now you are COVID negative. But a lot of warriors like you today are experiencing weakness, fatigue and many other symptoms still after recovery from COVID. And doctors say your diet does play a very big role in helping you combat all these after effects and help you get up and running in a systematic fashion. Inflammation in your body, in various different organs, can be controlled through eating right. Two fantastic doctors join me today to guide you with your diet on the show. But first up, let's take a look at the lay of the land. So you have had COVID and recovered, but your body perhaps does not feel the same again. Most of the long-term side effects of COVID include a lot of fatigue, hormones going out of whack, shortness of breath, body pain, and much more. Most of these can be attributed to inflammation caused by COVID and medication that was very much required at that point of time to treat COVID, say doctors.
Many organs or one or two organs from this list gets inflamed, like heart and circulatory system, brain and nervous system, liver or kidney, skin or eyesight, or even digestive system.
But worry not. Doctors also say after you're done with all your COVID treatments and you're on your path to recovery, a lot of these issues can be controlled through your diet. Eating right post-recovery is key.
An anti-inflammatory diet plan is one such very powerful technique. It helps not just expedite recovery if you are somebody who is battling COVID currently, but it also helps with any post-COVID complication that you may have.
Some long haulers complain of a chronic fatigue syndrome that includes difficulty of doing simple tasks at home like getting ready for work or even working itself.
And you can even get rid of inflammation post-COVID just using specific diet, kitchen remedies, or even herbal formulas.
Most of all of this is inflammation, your body's natural way to combat an invader. So once you have recovered from COVID, your diet can go a long way in making sure you're up and running in no time. So ensure your diet embraces zero carbohydrates or little carbohydrates. No sugar, avoid the junk, avoid the processed food, include a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits as well, avoid the sugar. Also, certain supplements that your doctor recommends alongside perhaps an Ayurvedic Sattvic diet too. All of this can go a long way in ensuring you recover well from COVID. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today. And to help you with what your diet should really look like, I've got a fantastic panel. Dr. Smita Naram, co-founder of Ayush Shakti chain of hospitals, joins me today. Dr. Vishakha Shivdasani, physician and author from Mumbai. Akanksha Singh, she's a COVID warrior. All three of them, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking the time out. Akanksha, I'm going to start with you first. You're a COVID warrior in that true sense. Your entire family tested positive. I remember you have recovered from COVID now, your family, kids, everybody. What kind of symptoms are you guys witnessing at this point of time after recovery from COVID? And then we'll understand from the doctors what diet you should be following, and our viewers also will understand what diet they must follow.
Yeah, thank you, Chaiti. Even now, it has been almost 45 days post-recovery, and still there are, there's mild fatigue and there's this heaviness in the head which just doesn't go. And also, I've also noticed that it increases if I exert myself. My work, it demands that I exert myself physically, my body has to exert. But because of that exertion, there's housework also, there's work also, there's kids, there's in-laws. But because of that exertion, that heaviness increases, and it kind of increases the inflammation also. Again, the inflammation goes up, which was there in my body even during COVID, post-COVID also. It's so sluggish that it's just not leaving the body. Even little bit of congestion and a little bit of cough, it still remains.
So
it's
45 days and all these symptoms still persist. Akanksha, stay on with me. Dr. Smita Naram, you're a big believer in reducing inflammation. Akanksha also mentioned that she's still facing inflammation in her body. And you're also a big believer in eating right after recovery, adding the right herbs too. What is your recommendation to our viewers today on what their breakfast, lunch and dinner should broadly consist of to reduce the inflammatory syndrome most COVID warriors like Akanksha face today?
First of all, when you get COVID, also avoid this food, and post-COVID, follow this for next at least 45, 60 days. That's the time you can get inflammation. So red meat, processed meat foods, gluten, particularly wheat, excessive carbohydrates, and dairy products are very, very inflammation causing. Besides refined and processed food, and sugar is another culprit. So these are the things we should stay away completely. So have breakfast, lunch, dinner with lots of protein, vegetables, and a very little carbohydrate. So in the morning, maybe avoid poha and upma, which is highly carby. Instead, have mung pancakes or chickpea pancakes, or if you are used to take some meat things, then maybe just eggs or something like that. But just avoid everything from gluten in the morning and lunch and dinner. And for lunch, you can have also mung pancakes, and maybe just ragi or jwari rotis instead of wheat chapatis, and vegetables. And dinner can be again either khichdi, vegetables, or anything which is, not having gluten or red meat or sugar, high carbohydrate.
So no rotis for lunch and dinner, right? No rotis, absolutely. I can have millet rotis, jawar rotis, bajra rotis, but no wheat roti, right?
Yeah, ragi roti is the excellent, because ragi and jawar has zinc and certain kind of minerals, natural minerals, which enhances your energy, and they are anti-inflammatory.
Right. I also am going to come back to you on your breakfast smoothie. Smita Naram has come up with a fantastic smoothie that you can have for breakfast that helps reduce inflammation and helps you recover better. But first up, Vishaka, what is your 6-point plan? You're propagating it. The COVID patients at that point of time, when they were positive to whatever the meds the docs felt was appropriate, and they had to take it. They were in critical care. And that was important then. Now, how can one recover with the right diet? Quick do's and don'ts from you, Vishaka.
See, Chaiti, I've spent almost 20 years of my career reversing chronic lifestyle diseases. Whether it is obesity, type 2 diabetes, PCOS, fatty liver, and all of these have a common denominator of inflammation.
Yes.
So I used the same principles, almost the same principles that we used to reverse these conditions, and I extrapolated it to COVID-19 because we know that inflammation is what causes all the problems in COVID-19. We also know that all these conditions are comorbidities. So logically deriving it, using the same principles is when I came out with the 6-point plan, and I wrote it in my book, COVID and Post-COVID Complications, to expedite them. And of course, number one, the first pillar of this plan is nutrition. It also has gut health, sleep, exercise, stress management, and supplements. But since we're talking about nutrition today, it plays an immense role, not only to expedite recovery whilst you have COVID, but also in wake of these complications, because it takes care of inflammation and also enhances immunity.
And I'm going to, get deep dive into what you recommend that people should eat and not eat. But Akanksha, are you facing any kind of gut-related issues at the moment? Does your body feel the same? Many COVID patients I've spoken to have complained that their hormones have just gone out of whack. They're feeling the fatigue, they're feeling shortness of breath, their gut doesn't feel the same. Are you facing all of that?
I was facing all of that earlier, but as the time is going by, the symptoms are becoming milder now. So I'm just praying for a complete recovery.
Right, we'll re-establish that connection right there to Akanksha in just about a bit. All right, she's back. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. Because, the gut has to be kept healthy during COVID. So post-COVID also, I had a lot of problem, with my gut. And I think I gained about 3 kgs of weight because of my non-functionality, and because I could not move too much. If I would stand, I would get so tired, just standing, so much. So even brushing was difficult to stand and brush. So even that was really difficult. All I wanted to do was sit down, and that is not me, that's just not me. I'm a person who's full of energy, and I was missing my workouts, I was missing my exercise. But sadly, if I've been told that I can't go back to my regular routine for about 3 months, so I need to give myself
But
time to
that's
recover.
all solvable according to our doctors. Dr. Smita Naram, you always stress about gut health. How can one maintain a healthy gut post-COVID? We also want to know your breakfast smoothie recipe that you recommend.
Yes, basically, Chaiti, as you know, I also went through the COVID myself and my whole family. And what I followed, and I would like to share with our viewers, what hundreds of people whom I really observed and monitored followed. If you follow that, you will prevent inflammation, and you will also have great energy. Immediately resume as soon as you are out of COVID. So this breakfast recipe that I wanted to recommend is something which is working on inflammation, energy building, and it is also building your immune system, because lots of people get this black fungal infection and different things. So these are the three things that you need to take care on a daily basis. So this smoothie takes care of everything together combined. And this smoothie has beetroot juice, pomegranate juice, both. You can take one pomegranate and half beetroot and take out the juice from that. In that juice, you can add around half a cup of mixed greens like baby spinach, kale, or coriander, mint, whatever you find, just mix in there. 2 fresh amla, because that's great for the inflammation. Ginger, a teaspoonful. Fresh turmeric, a teaspoonful, or a dry turmeric, whatever you can find. And you can also add, if you can get dragon fruit, which is fantastic for the gut health, particularly because it has a natural prebiotic substances which is helping to create your own probiotics in your gut. So mix all of that together, a teaspoonful of flaxseed for omega 3 and other substances, and just blend it. You can even add, if you want, some banana to sweeten it naturally, a dash of lemon if you want, and drink this smoothie daily. Drink it daily in the morning on empty stomach, and only have your breakfast if you're hungry after that. This is fantastic for keeping your energy, gut health, and inflammation, including the immune system.
Right. So that's a fantastic breakfast smoothie recipe that Dr. Smita has come up with. Dr. Vishaka, 2 very common mistakes I've noticed. People think all fats are bad, and processed food is an easy go-to with all the hype and marketing, especially that we've seen around it. How important, in your opinion, are good fats? Ghee, avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, olives, and how bad are processed foods, and how much harm can they cause?
So, in my anti-inflammatory immune building diet, the first thing I say is don't fear your fat. Most people think fats make you fat, fats may give you heart disease, they're so bad for you. Yes, if you're using pro-inflammatory fats, if you're using vegetable oil, if you're using seed oil, sunflower, safflower, then you have every reason to be scared, because those are pro-inflammatory. But fats are exceptionally good for you if used correctly. If you use the omega-3 fats, if you use, flax, chia, ghee, our local ghee, and if you use olive oil, avocado oil, or eat these, whether you're using them in your cooking or you're including them, nuts, seeds, all of these are actually anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
So these must be included in your diet. They also enhance immunity hugely, other than just causing, just the anti-inflammatory effect. They keep you full, they keep you satiated, they balance hormones. For every diabetic out there, nothing controls sugar more than good fats do, more than any fats do, but we're talking about anti-inflammatory fats. Not even proteins control
And how much of these good fats should one consume and include in the diet, Vishaka?
Well, that depends more upon, what your weight is and if you have any other heart conditions, etc. But I'm not really focused on how much, as long as you're not deep frying food and as long as you're not using rancid, trans fats, by all means have it, cook your food in ghee and eat your nuts, eat your seeds. You will actually see an enhanced level of energy in a few days. So don't fear fats.
Don't fear the good fats. Don't fear the good fats.
Good fats. Good fats. Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely correct. You must include them.
I'm just
as far as your processed food.
Go on.
As far as your processed food, there should be no space for processed food in your pantry, in your kitchen. Anything that comes out of a tin, can, bottle, whether you have COVID, whether you have post-COVID.
What about breakfast muesli? What about breakfast muesli? Is that allowed, or is that something that you frown upon?
I think my facial expression said it all.
Yes.
Listen, I'm anyway known as the anti-sugar evangelist, okay? Now you're going to get the entire... but no, nothing that comes out of a tin, can, bottle. You want a muesli, you make muesli at home and have that as your breakfast. Make a grain-free muesli. I don't believe in beginning your day with any sort of grain. Your day should begin with protein and good fat. You want that enhanced rush of energy. You want your stabilization of your hormones, which happens if you eat breakfast, which is protein and good fat. No room for carbohydrates in the morning. Have your carbs at lunch, but not at breakfast.
Right.
That should be, especially if you're battling any post-COVID.
Yes, and no processed food at all. Good fats are good. So go ahead and have the good fats. In fact, we have it on our screens as well. What is the good fat that you can consume? And that is what you should incorporate in your diet for all our viewers there. Dr. Naram, the power of gluten-free diet. Tell us about it. Fruits, vegetables, dals, pulses, mainly Moong. You always keep talking about Moong and eating right post-COVID. And why is it that you always like the patients who are recovering from COVID to go and focus on Moong?
Chaiti, as you know, I'm working for almost 34 years now in all 108 countries. And one thing is very important, not just for COVID, but if you want to stay away from every chronic situation, gut health. So gut health plays 80% role. It's the beginning of any chronic illness, really. And gluten is extremely inflammation causing, beginning from the gut. So our inflammation process begins from the gut, using the food which is inflammatory, like gluten, particularly. In that, wheat particularly. Dairy, I've seen nowadays that it's really inflammation causing in red meat, several such things. Processed food, of course, and sugary things. So when the inflammation begins, then that spreads slowly, creating toxins and spreads into the tissues, creating blockages, and that block will prevent you from having ability to fight any infection, be it COVID or anything. So for that reason, gluten is something that I tell everybody to avoid, particularly. And in that, wheat is something which one must avoid, because wheat is not only having gluten, but some other substances. And the wheat that we have today is completely genetically modified. So 5,000 years ago, Ayurveda said wheat is very good for the health, but that time we were doing so much of physical work that we could digest. Now we can't handle this. It's completely not handled by our system. And I definitely advocate the diet of 60% vegetables and 30% protein in your overall food proportion, and just 10% of carbs, even if it's in the form of millet or rice or anything else which is gluten-free. So that's what I recommend, really. And the mung bean are basically very alkaline in nature, and all the acidic substances, they produce inflammation. So everything alkaline is anti-inflammatory. And if you stay on just mung and vegetable diet, you will see that the inflammation is going down dramatically just in 3 to 5 days.
And even the energy levels will get a big boost, right?
Exactly, because that mung bean has such a protein levels which are easily digested. And mung beans are less allergic in comparison to other beans that a lot of people get gassy and all. So there are a lot of benefits, and that's why we always recommend to stay on mung and vegetable diet to get inflammation-free and, of course, energetic.
That's a fantastic takeaway. Dr. Vishaka, you've got magnesium, CoQ10, iron, vitamins. How important are these supplements? I also want to tell our viewers how important it is to check with your doctors actually which supplements you need to aid your recovery from COVID, rather than just going on a pill-popping spree.
So I think they're hugely important, but it's not one rubber prescription for everybody. So we need to see our patients, see their symptoms, and then, gauge who needs what. I'm a big proponent of magnesium because I think, magnesium is a muscle relaxant. It helps you sleep. We know that people, especially post-COVID, have a lot of insomnia. And we know that lack of sleep reduces immunity, increases inflammation. Just a few days of sleep deprivation can actually increase insulin resistance. And, that causes inflammation in itself. So instead of giving sleeping pills, which actually reduce inflammation, because I get so many patients who ask me, Doc, we cannot sleep post-COVID. Can you please give us, sleeping pills? And I'm like, this is not a time to give anyone a medication that will that will actually increase inflammation and reduce immunity. So I give them magnesium, I give them melatonin, these patients. So, it really helps. A lot of patients post-COVID also get tachycardia, they get fast heartbeat. And some of them require beta blockers, no question about it. But if you give magnesium to a lot of these patients, it naturally reduces their heartbeat. So these are things that are non-pharmaceutical that can actually help. So why would I not give them? Because they also enhance immunity.
And CoQ10, right? What is the role that CoQ10 plays?
Another supplement that I really like, CoQ, actually gives energy at the cellular level, at the mitochondrial level. Our mitochondria are energy sources. The base of energy starts from the mitochondria. And CoQ10 provides energy right there. So, we get patients who have got brain fog, asthenia, cannot exercise, so much of it. And you give them CoQ, and I'm not saying it's a wonder drug, you take one today and you'll feel better tomorrow. But, by addition of supplements that are required, depending on a patient's supplements, they feel hugely better. And these are all anti-inflammatory.
And Dr. Smita Naram, any herbal supplements that you'd like to recommend for our viewers? Vishaka spoke about CoQ10 and magnesium and iron. Any herbal supplements that you'd like to speak about?
Absolutely. There are these 3 herbal substances extremely good for anti-inflammation. So they are immune modulator and mostly hyperactive immune system, which happens in COVID, attacks our system and creates inflammation. And these also enhances immune system. So they are actually, we have this formula D-Viro, which is very, very popular across the world. It contains this guduchi extract, and there is pomegranate peel extract. Pomegranate peel nowadays is exported in tons to Japan because there are hundreds of reports published to prove that this is really antiviral. So Calmeg is another one. And so these are some of the substances, herbal formulas, which are extremely good. Turmeric is another, very good for immune boosting and anti-inflammatory as well. Besides, I wanted to mention Abrak Bhasma. That's a kind of a ash mineral formula made from mica and Abrak, that contains a lot of natural minerals, like magnesium and zinc and several things. So these are the things you can take to instantly replenish your energy.
So that's fantastic. I'm very happy to hear, of course, from Dr. Smita Naram and Dr. Vishaka on what your diet post-COVID should consist of, what are the kind of supplements, what are the do's and don'ts of your diet as well, what do you need to knock off, what do you need to incorporate. And Akanksha, it is fantastic to hear from you as well that, you've really braved it all. Your entire family has braved it all. I know you're feeling the fatigue. I know you're feeling the long-haul symptoms of COVID as well, but hopefully these 2 doctors have been able to help you and our viewers to understand what the post-recovery from COVID diet should really consist of. With that, I'm really out of time. Thank you very much for joining us on India Today.